and now they are becoming powerful. George Weah wants to be president of Liberia. So it provides for the youth. These countries are investing heavily into sports. There was a revelation in 1995. Nelson Mandela. Roman quoted him. Roman said that with education, you can change the world. He said something like that for sports. He didn't say with sports, you can change the world. He said the power of sport can change the world. Sport cannot change it, but the power of sport can change the world. There's a slight difference. Let me explain it. If you go to the city of Amsterdam, there's a place called the Amsterdam Arena. It is the stadium, the home base of Ajax Football Club. That's one of the biggest clubs in Holland. The club is owned by the city of Amsterdam. I think it was in 1992 or thereabouts, they built this stadium complex. And once every 2 weeks, Ajax Football Club plays there. And they have this huge audience of tens of thousands of people who trunge the venue, and they patronize everything. They make so much money, and everybody goes home. But everyone knows that the Amsterdam Arena never sleeps. It operates 25 hours a day, 8 days a week, non-stop. So what goes on there? It is not sport. Sport, the football, is the least activity in the Amsterdam Arena. So it is not the football itself that generates all the traffic into the arena. There's another world aside from this football. It is powered by football, but there's another world. It is very interesting that not many people have managed to discover that world. That was where we were heading when we did Koja. When Nigeria built the Abuja National Stadium, one of the most beautiful stadium edifices in the world. State of the art, a masterpiece of architecture. When you enter the city of Abuja, our federal capital city, one of the most beautiful cities in Africa today, it is the thing that welcomes you into that city. You see it in the distance, sitting majestically at the entrance into the city of Abuja. And you wonder, wow, this is beautiful. Unfortunately, unlike the Amsterdam Arena, nobody goes there. I worked there for 2 years. I don't think I even had more than 10 or so visitors. It is desolate. It is desolate because it is a reflection of who we are. You see, the tears, the sweat, the blood of ordinary Nigerians whose resources were used to build that stadium. The way that stadium was built, one of the costliest stadiums in the world to build. Every brick, every block is stained with corruption. We organized the most reckless, blatantly and brazenly. We saw Nigerians from top to bottom looting our treasury and calling it Koja. You see, it is not cursed, but you see, it is the sweat, it is the commonwealth of all of us. And people just went there and performed their scondomania. And how can such a thing thrive? It cannot thrive. That's why it is desolate. That's why I heard Roman say it. I heard Shegun say it. But Shegun gave me hope. Because he said it is not in the numbers of what we do, but let us do our little bit. But you see, that Abuja Stadium is a constant reminder about who we are. Nelson Mandela in 1995, 2 years after he became president. He did not stop the bid that the white separatists had done to host the Rugby World Cup. He didn't stop it when he became president. Rugby was a white game in South Africa. Their national team was called the Springboks. They wear green and yellow jerseys when they are playing. Blacks hardly went there to watch anything. Blacks loved their soccer. So the World Rugby Cup took place in the year 1995, just 2 years after Nelson Mandela became president. Tension was still high. Blacks hated whites with a passion. They jailed him for 27 years. Nelson Mandela said, look, he forgave everybody even before they asked. He went to that stadium that day. 55,000 white audience, mostly white audience, just a sprinkling of blacks. When he got into the stadium, he was wearing the green and yellow of Springboks. The whites didn't understand what was going on. The blacks who were not there watching on television, they were stupefied. They didn't understand what was going on because it was anathema. For a black man, symbol of oppression, to now don the colors of white supremacists. That was the day Nelson Mandela discovered the power of sport. He walked onto that pitch with the broadest smile on his face, and he started to wave at the audience. And he started slowly, in trickles. Gentle clap, and then he started to build up. All the whites were clapping, and then suddenly somebody said, Mandela, Mandela, Mandela. And before you knew it, 55,000 white people were looking at a man with a broad smile on his face. And written across it, without seeing it, was forgiveness, humility, unity, all those great words, signifying an end. Signifying an end to the conflict between whites and blacks and the colored in South Africa. If he, the most oppressed of them, would come and share with the whites, who are you, another black man, to say you would not? And that was the beginning of change in South Africa. And Mandela realized that moment, in that moment, that he had the tool. He had the secret formula. It was a secret formula to how South Africa was going to become one and develop. He was going to use the foolish things that our Lord uses, the foolish things of this world, to confound the wise and do great things. My brothers, you don't know what happened. South Africa, they started a series in 10 years. After that day, they started a series. Now that Mandela had discovered the secret formula to use the power of sport. I found it. I heard Mandela, I heard what he said, and it didn't make sense at the time. But, you know, the elements have a way of conspiring when something good wants to happen. They just conspire and you see things are happening. I was invited to the World Scholar Athlete Games for secondary school students, 157 countries in University of Rhode Island in the USA. That was in the year 2006. I went there and I discovered that sport was really one of the least activities. It was the World Scholar Athlete Games, but sport was one of the least activities. The greater series of activities were sessions with different speakers, just as we have here today. Speaking to children from 157 countries, telling them about life, about leadership, about friendship, about peace, about... It climaxed with Bill Clinton coming to talk on the final night. And what he spoke about was the globalization of humanity. He said, we are going into a stage in the world when Peace must be sought by all means and by all men.